Our Kids is an opportunity for you to be introduced to a few school and student helpers. If there is a space or a place to improve the lives of our children, we know a few families and business owners who have made it their business to answer the call for help and provide a solution to those challenges that impact our children and eventually us all. We could not just choose one kiddo to save, so we are asking for your help to reach more. Join Keeping Your Kids Safe as we identify some of the problems and share a few solutions that have been created just for you. Hello, hello. Hi, Raquel. How are you? You're on mute, my friend.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon, Tabitha. I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm here. It's Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of fell off a little bit last week, but I am back with a vengeance. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So we're going to get started. I know that we're supposed to have a couple other people. We've had a couple challenges already this morning for some families and things like that, but it doesn't stop us from doing what we need to do. So we're here to talk about Save Our Kids. Okay. So I'm going to just start by just sharing a little bit about about what we're doing here, right? And I have my notes because every time I come up here, I swear I think I forget what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to talk about, things like that. So it's always very funny. Okay, so our goal is always to highlight people and the businesses that solve various problems that put our children at risk, period. And I say save our children. I want to be very clear, our children. So you may birth your kids, I birthed mine. Some people choose children, but at the end of the day, they're only there for a short period of time. It is our collective responsibility. So what I want to say is we'll spend a little bit of time to review a few of the solutions that have here. But today you're a parent, so we do have some of those extra points that we need to kind of look into. But let me share some information just to get us started. So the National Center for Education and Statistics say that 49.4 million students in fall of 2020 and fall of 2021. That's how many children went to school, K through 12. Total enrollment is projected to decrease to 46.9 by 2031. So when I looked at the numbers in 2014, they were at 55 million. Last week when I revealed the numbers were lower. Now I look at the National Center for Education Statistics, they're at 49.9. 32.6 of them are K through 8, which means that it all boils down to about 18 million families that are in education. When you look at it and you have 90,000 schools in the United States, you have 4 million teachers across those schools, but 35% of them want to quit. There's got to be something to that. That's a call. That's somebody saying, hey, we need help, sending up a flag. I need something, waving a white flag on any of this, trying to figure out this stuff, right? So let's put some things in perspective, right? So there's a couple of things I want to make sure that I say. One is, do you know how much time a child spends in school every single year? Have you ever thought about it?
No.
So let me help you. It's 180 school days in a school year, right? They're in school for approximately 1,260 hours a year. Do you know how much time you spend at work?
Oh, wow.
2,080 if you're only working 40 hours a week. And that does not take into account the time for travel. Do you see what's happening? So the reason why I say that is that if your children are spending 1,260 hours away from you and you're spending over 2,000 hours away from them, right? Somebody's going to be put into place, and that's education. So when we take a look at it, one Black teacher, if a student sees one Black teacher as a third grader, they are 7%. The graduation for high school graduation is 7% more. If that same third grader sees at least one Black teacher, they actually, the numbers increase 13% to enroll in college. Okay. If there are two Black teachers, it increases by 32%. So, and then here's more numbers: 90% of our children are sleep deprived. So, we have to figure out what we're doing, why we're doing it, what is the impact to our future, and what needs to change. Our children are our future. We only have our children for 18 years, period, right? We only have our children. Oh, sorry, I forgot to pull up this other thing. We only have our children for 18 years. And then at the end of that 18 years, we get to be spectators in their sport, right?
Mm,
We get to find out how well or we did, how well do, or how great of teachers we were, because that is going to show when we see how they treat their friends, how they treat their employees, how they treat their spouses, their siblings, and their own children, right? And their work ethic is just extremely important because that's on us. So the other thing, see, it's funny. Hi, see you. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining. It's been amazing. So this is what I want to say is that also recognize that for children after they hit 18, it becomes a choice. They get to choose whether or not they be in my life for the rest of my life. So if I do wrong by them in the first 18 years, and the first 18 years, I would definitely not expect to see them after they become adults. That's something that's definitely an issue. So this is why I say this is a collective collaboration. That is parents and educators and the village to actually help bring all of us to this point, because my child becomes a dentist, a doctor, a customer service rep, whomever, right? And that means that they're not still my kid. They are now responsible. They're part of everybody else's ecosystem. So what I want to do is we want to be able to identify the problems that we are encountering. We want to find a way to get rid of, find out what's in the way, and then we also want to find the solution to solve. So that is why we're here. So my name is Tabitha Barron, and I am the founder of Keeping Your Kids Safe. And I have invited Raquel here so that she can hang out with me as a parent. And we do have a couple other people that are coming. They're just running a little bit late, and that's okay because we know we're really going to have a conversation, right? So what I want to say is that Raquel, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
sure thing. Thank you. Well, first of all, I am so happy to be here today. And like I said, I know this is a very important topic because even if you're not a parent, you still have nephews and nieces and, other children in your life that you really need to like give it thought, right? Of all the things that a child will go to through in life until they're 18 at least. But if you're Hispanic, oh my gosh, you'll be here until they're 30. So you know how that is though. It's
Yes.
like in Hispanic families, that's just the way it is, that we're built that way. So I work with Latino leaders. So I'm here on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, and Tabitha has been so gracious to put it on there. Look at her with the QR codes. I
Look, I
love
was like, let
it.
me borrow this. I'm gonna have to go and do this. I was like, there ain't no way in the world I can let that go. Oh,
I love it. I love it. But you know what I love most about this show
that's
and what
amazing.
you do is how candid you are. You're passionate about saving our kids. And I tell you, I applaud you. I commend you. The work that you're doing is incessant and it's needed. Because, unfortunately, some kids may not have parents who are around. They're not may not be alive. So they have to rely on what it's called the village. And sometimes that turns into the extension of the family, the education system, all these individuals who come into our children's lives that make it or break it. And I do say that in the most endearing way possible, but it is true. We have to be there for one another, and especially for our kids.
Yes, this is true. I mean, I think I messed up the QR code, so I'm trying to fix it real quick. But my one thing is that I think it's do you think we got away from the village? Why did we get away from the village? Why did that become why has that changed, do you think? That's what I'm kind of curious about.
For me, I would say in my particular experience, differing views, different values. As you know, our families they grow, then some of the family values are lost, and that's why I think sometimes the village just kind of dwindles, for lack of better words. Sometimes as parents, we don't really inform ourselves of where to get resources. I've been at fault at that. When I was going through a severe depression, I just didn't want to reach out for help. I didn't want to reach out and look for individuals who would be there for me and for my kids. Hence, my kids were suffering because I wasn't responsible enough to reach out for services or reach out for resources. So it's a very tough situation when it comes to that because, the village is there. We just,
Yes.
it's a matter of us to nurture it, encourage that rapport, right?
Right.
uh, Continue feeding into it just because it's necessary. It is crucial. It really, we must always have a community around us. It's imperative for anyone's survival, I believe.
So that's very true. There's a lot of that. Very, very true. The thing about, I don't have kids, but I certainly remember being forgotten a lot in the 80s. Oh my gosh, in the 80s. Being forgotten a lot. But here's the thing. When we were growing up, we actually had people that we can call on. I mean, okay, so for me, so here's one of the situations I will talk about, because I want to make sure that we understand that village is extremely important. um so when I was younger, I lived with my grandparents. Nobody's probably ever heard me say this, but what happened is there's this man a few doors down, and he would always talk to me. Older man, I don't know, and he always was by himself, never seen kids, but he would ask me different questions. But then he would say, "Do you want some candy?" I'm a kid. Of course I want candy. What is wrong with you? Of course I'm going to go take this candy. But what I didn't understand is, when at the time he was like, "Hey, don't tell anybody where you got the candy. Don't send anybody else here. This is between me and you," right? And I didn't think anything of it. I'm a kid, okay? But over time, what happened was that one day I was like, "No, I don't want any candy today." But then I changed my mind, so I sent my sibling to go get it, and he got upset. So then he stopped talking to me. That was a predator. That's what I didn't understand. And because other people were around, I definitely had protection. I had people that were looking out for me. "Hey, get from over there. Don't do that." Or you need to get this taken care of, or whatever. So there's a lot of things that are um definitely red flags we need to be paying attention to. When my mom was late, and even with my niece right now, when there's a place for her to go. They're just not just hanging out. So I just think that it's important to bring in the village, and to do the things that's important for the health and well-being of each of our children. So Sia says she's a big fan of the village. I think the village has saved our butts a number of times, you know.
So I
So
completely agree.
So let me ask you, what do you think? So you have children that are actually coming into school. We're getting ready to start school. We're back to school, y'all. We're back to school. What are some of the things that you are concerned about going into um going into the new school year?
Right. So my daughters they start next Monday. So like I said, like you heard me saying on Saturday, I've been waiting for this day to come, just because it takes a lot of on me. Being a
Yes,
single mom it's one of the toughest things I've done in my life. I think it's shout out to all the single moms and dads out there really making it happen for the kids because it ain't easy. Shoot, it ain't easy for a full house, much less for one, half of it. But we make it
right.
the best half that we can. So shout out to you. I see you. I feel you. We're here.
You.
But one of the main things that my daughter experienced last school year, and it's been a recurring thing, right? And I attribute it not only to maybe the lack of empathy from her little classmates. I mean, after all, they're kids, but some of their teachers too. But she's neurodiverse, my oldest one, and experienced a lot of bullying because she tends to talk a lot. And so that is definitely one of my concerns as she goes back into fourth grade now. And from what I hear, there's a big jump when it comes to education from third to fourth grade. Like they're expected to be more, like they're going to work harder. And so I had this talk with her and I said, okay, you understand, baby, that there will be more required of you. You will need to be focused a little bit more. And because she's 504, she fidgets, she has ADHD. So, but it's one of those things that she understands that part, but sometimes she can't control it. All right. So that is my concern.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm glad you said that because what I know is that say 1 out of 5 kids are bullied. 5.4 million students skip school every day due to bullying. 9 out of 10 of them were LGBTQ. But see, the other thing is that I want to make sure I read this. A very small number of bullied children might retaliate through extreme violent measures. In 12 out of 15 school shootings cases in the 1990s, the school shooters had a history of being bullied. So I get it. So being different has net for whatever reason is never been widely accepted. All of us going to school all had this same problem at some given point in time, and I just feel as though a lot of this comes down to what we choose to teach. I have a friend that says you teach what you accept, right? And so something like that. Hopefully I didn't mess that up, Catherine. But but we're so busy worried about all these other things that we forget about the things that are really important, right? And that's keeping our children safe, making sure that they're heard, making sure that the things are together in a way that makes sense and is favorable for them.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned that helping them feel safe, because the majority of the time, if we're too busy as adults, we'll disregard whatever a child says, even though that whatever is so monumental for them, but we will quickly disregard it because we're so busy. I know I'm at fault of that. I'm guilty of doing that sometimes. Like I said, because my hands are busy all the time, that my daughter would approach me and say, Mommy, this and this happened to me at school. And sometimes, okay, can we talk about it later? But I've learned that that's not conducive for my daughter to feel heard and hence safe. So I take my time. I literally stop whatever I am doing in order for her to express her feelings, because I understand that not a lot of people, not a lot of, yeah, but just the environment at school may not be very conducive for her to feel that she belongs. Because that is one of the main concerns that I have. She doesn't feel that she belongs. She feels like, nobody likes her because she's different. And I'm like, look, I tell her, you're different can make a difference, right? It's just a matter of how you come across. So you're always leading with kindness. So it's like I teach what I preach, girl. I keep doing it every day, just because I definitely want to create an environment for my daughter to know that she's not alone, to feel that she does belong, even though she is gifted. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So I think that that's a big thing because a lot of times, I don't think that we realize how where they are and what's going on and how they feel. And like we talked about during Saturday, you can't get to the big stuff unless you come to the little stuff, right? So you can't say to kids, I don't want to hear what you have to say about little Becky next door, or I don't want to listen to your stories about school and things like that. The beauty of it is the answer to the problem is actually sitting in their statements, in the comments, right? What they talk to you about, you can kind of start to figure out where they are and what's going on for them. And I think it's very much a big thing. So is your children overscheduled? Are your children overscheduled by chance? Just asking. Are they overscheduled?
W- When you say overschedule, what what are you referring to? Because I mean, yeah, the audience may not know what that means.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let's say overscheduled. So when we talk about 90% of the children are sleep deprived, that means that we are running our children way longer than they should, right? So our 8 hour days should not be their 8 hour days. Our 8 hour days can be 1.5 day. Their 8 hour days, their bodies are not equipped for that. They're not ready for that. And so when I was preparing for this, it was so many kids are like in all these different activities because of more of the anxiety from the parent side of things, you know I need to make sure my kid has something to do. I need to make sure they're involved in a program. I need to make sure they're not on the streets, right? But where's the creative play? Where's the time for them to sit and learn something different just by existing, right? So there's things like that. So that's what I'm asking. So I know my kids were in soccer, and then they had their extracurricular for school, but then I did not
Mm-hmm.
overschedule them. I gave them their time for downtime. How about you?
Got you. Yes, well, my daughters, especially the oldest one, like I said, there's a 5 year difference between my two girls, and my daughter does martial arts, and she likes the very meaty contact
Yeah.
sports type thing, and I think this is one of the things. Like I tell her, self defense is really good if you are. They teach them, just being really, really disciplined, and which I like that because for a child who has ADHD, you need to be able to focus. So I like that. That's why, and she chose martial arts, but it can be very demanding, I should say. I know that she sleeps better on the nights that she has it, which is good, right? Because she is channeling that energy to something that is conducive for her body to remain healthy, and activities. As far as overscheduling, I'm probably so because I work too much.
You
So
work too much.
I work too much. And so sometimes, they carry some of that because mommy's busy with work and etc. Or they go with a family member and they have them do some activities so that they can at least be focused on doing that. So I would say so.
Okay, so the overscheduling. So I just believe that we have to, yes. So James is saying the same thing. They need downtime. They cannot be plugged in to an activity all the time, right? You can invite them in, they can say, hey. But the thing about it is that my thing is that a lot of times I think people feel as though, wait, I have to make sure that they're busy. I have to make sure they're doing all that they have something to do, right? But at the same time, I mean, that doesn't have to be every day of the week. And that doesn't have to be every waking hour, because playtime is still learning, right? Adults need downtime. We also need drinks. So that is very true, Sia. We need lots of drinks. The start of the
S-
school year is
s-
stressful.
Yes.
I've been hurting for like last few days. Migraine. This other thing, Phil says screen time for kids and teens can be distracting during sleeping hours, right? So there are studies that actually show and tell you that this you should not have screen time right before you go to sleep, because the lights and things actually cause you problems in trying to get your rhythm down, to settle down your body, that allows you to actually go to sleep. So if you have your children are having screen time right before they go to sleep, no wonder they're just kind of jittery and they're just up in arms and they can't seem to settle down. And then if they're not going to sleep until 1 in the morning, and you turn around and wake them up at 6 to be at school by 7:30 or something like that, and that's definitely a lot of time that they're losing, right? So I think that's a big thing as far as that's
Yes.
concerned. She said, see, it's funny, but I never understood my
Sia,
friend
Sia, you have so
schedule.
much to say.
Way over schedule. Bring back the get out of the house and don't come back till the lights are on. Yes, right. So remember when we used to, oh, we got put out. The only way we could stay, the only way we could stay inside was if we were sick. But if we were in there at noon, that meant that something else was going on. We're about getting prepared for something. But ultimately, get out until the street lights come in. We'll call you for lunch. Come in and get your lunch. If you stick around too long, that crazy song, Days of Our Lives, would kick in. And these are the days of our lives. In our house, you would see us just scatter in every different direction, because that meant if we could hear that, they were going to lay us down for a nap. So, yeah, definitely a
See,
different.
I didn't experience that though, Tabitha. Just because I guess, yeah, no, I didn't get my parents never used to tell us like, okay, go out there and don't come back into the lights, Yeah, like no, I didn't experience. They were more like, okay, stay in here, don't go anywhere. So that's the fact that I wasn't playing outside, right, with the neighborhood kids or wherever it was. it pushed me to the books. It pushed me to learning the language a little bit better, because that's, as you know,
Mm,
English is not my first language. So which it's a great thing, right, that I was able to
yeah.
dive into reading and really like escaping the reality of what I was living at that point. But yeah, I didn't experience that. There are so many things as a child that I miss, comparing myself from El Salvador to the American way of life, that I didn't get to experience. So I miss a lot of
Oh
references.
wow. That is that okay, that's different and interesting. I never would have thought about that at all. You can have them come in, say hello. I don't have a
Girl, no.
here's my thing with children. Here's my thing with children. Everybody's like, so remember that I don't even have a mug. Remember the commercial, the Folgers commercial that kept the lady just kept moving to where to try to hide her kid. And I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. I just kids they are here. Here's my idea for children. Children have the best job on the planet. This is the only job they can't be fired from. You want to hear? You ready?
What is that? Tell me.
They will push you to the brink of insanity, wanting to harm them and others, right? They are given a handbook prior, and I believe they've gone through orientation prior to coming down the birth canal. And they say this: we are going to test your parents' nerves. We're going to push them to where they get ready to take the bridge, and you're going to snatch them back and say three key words: I love you, and everything's going to change, right? And so that's what they're here to do. And you know what our responsibility is to do? Feed them, make sure they don't die, clothe them, make sure they don't be on the pole, educate them, you know, all these things. So you have to think about that: educate, feed, clothe, love, respect, honor, prepare, all of them
Yeah.
forward, right? And you can't fire them because you brought them
Mm,
here, so they're yours to keep
mhm.
for at least 18 years, right? So they have the best job I know. So let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that. So I'm curious if anybody oh, my parents literally have
Sia,
said, well,
you have so much to say. Why don't you come on? Come on.
come on, you can come on up. So Kathy says she couldn't play outside either because they lived where she was in Bedside, Brooklyn, when they came to Barbados. You know, and everybody's different. But for a lot of us, that's how our neighbors were able to get to know us. That's how we were able to get prepared. And here's my thing. I tell mine all the time. See, I only have two. See, I stopped at that two because I only have two hands and I two eyes, and I've lost one, and it is the hardest thing you could ever deal with. You know, it's really hard to have to chase behind, try to find a kid that you blinked and they disappeared because they're really slippery. But I feel like in a lot of cases the people that lived around us actually helped us. So my belief system is that home, 18 years, life skills and all the skills, everything that you feel as though you need to have for your child. You want to see them successful. Those things that you didn't have when you were younger, those things that you didn't learn that you wish you could have, you're going to go ahead and pour into your child for 18 years. And sometimes we're fortunate enough to have 25 because from 18 to 25, I think they turn off their hearing aids so they no longer listen, right? And that's fair. But then you have, so inside that 18 years, you have education, right? And anybody who says that they're not a teacher is not paying attention. So my belief is this: we are all teachers. We teach through example. We teach through visual representation. We teach because of the things that we've learned in our lives, and we want to go ahead and bring that forward to a child. But we also need the education part, the finances, the math, the science, the things that are going to help churn and help the student be a better person, more well-rounded individual. So that's how that works, right? And then you have the village that picks up the slack, that fills in the gaps, that says, "Hey, I noticed Johnny broke that lady's window and took off running down the other way," right? Now I know he didn't do it on purpose because I watched it all happen. But what I do know is that he ran because of whatever's happening. We know where he is. Okay. So it's not to say I need to get you in trouble. It's to say, hey, I need us all to kind of work together. And so Johnny may not have gotten in trouble for breaking that window, but he may be responsible for cleaning up the glass. I think that's where the fill in is supposed to happen. So we are all teachers. And I think that we all need to lean into that. But if you were to think about three things that I understand the 504 and things like that, and the bullying is a big thing. I think that by itself, or we can solve that, we can probably get rid of a lot of things that are happening. Oh, here comes Sia.
Oh, there
So
she goes. Yeah. She who
she
invites herself. Oh my God, of course. But see, but this is a wonderful thing, because I know Sia mentioned, she doesn't have children at home, but she has other children around her, and she has this objective view of how, things are. So, oh, welcome, Sia. Nice of you
welcome,
to
Sia.
join
I literally
us.
just finished eating I just literally finished eating my shrimp scampi just for you guys.
Oh,
And
well,
And I
we
thank
couldn't help
appreciate
it.
you.
I have opinions because I'm an auntie, and I know every parent out there loves their brothers and sisters, telling them how great they are as parental units.
So here's my thing about that, and this is great. I'm so glad you did this. I am an auntie too, right? And I don't know why. I'm an auntie too. So, and that is the reason, but I didn't create this because of my kids. I created my product because I'm an auntie. So you are an example of what the village can provide for other people. You are the absolute one part of it that we are looking for. Because let's think about it. Childcare by itself is expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And aunties and uncles actually fill in the gap,
Yes.
no,
right?
some
I'm going to ask
some
a
aunties
question.
and uncles.
Oh, auntie and uncles. You're
I
funny.
say
So,
some aunties and uncles. Not everybody likes to
um,
partake in that.
well, yeah, but some of them kids are bad. They some of them kids have disciplinary problems, and we need to work on that. But my thing is that what are three things that you have witnessed or noticed that you would want to see changed in the upcoming school year? Because we've all gone through school ourselves, right? But we also are watching what's happening, and we all have comments and questions about it. So what are three things that you would like to see different or change in the school systems? Go ahead. Why are
That's
you on mute, Rocky?
yeah.
Are you asking
Oh,
me? Girl, I don't have kids. I don't know. School system. I don't know. Why are you
You
guys
pay
starting at
attention
the
to.
first week of August? Okay, that's my kvetch. Like, why is school system starting in the middle of August in Texas? It's 1,000 degrees outside. Now, granted, I understand some parents are like, for the love of God, please take my children. I get it. But you guys, is it me? But we started school in September. I don't understand how a lot of these
I
schools are
think that's
starting in
more in
August.
college.
Really? I started in September in California. California. But I mean,
So
uh, I will say, from what I've seen of my sister's kids, it is interesting the way they've shuffled and changed things around. As far as like the high school kids, they go to school like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and they have different courses. Like, it's almost, they treat it like a mini college thing. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday might be three classes or two classes, and then or I don't know. This is a lot of math, people. Three classes,
oh,
and then Tuesday, Thursday is like two other classes. I don't know, but I think it's interesting. I think that's cool. I find it really interesting that some schools still offer half and half, or they used to. I don't know if they do it anymore. I think that is really good for certain neurodivergent students to go half and half, right? Some don't need to be in class all day long. They just need to be by themselves and get the task done. So I don't know. I kind of liking a lot of things, except for the fact of why you guys starting out like the first week of August. That's so weird to me.
and I think it's because the catch up. So okay, I'm glad you mentioned this. So I don't know if you were here at the top, but what I'm saying to you is this. So how many? So that in the school year you have 180 school days. They spend about 1,260 hours in school. So if you're saying splitting the schedule, where does that leave those single parents? Where does that leave them? Because childcare is to the point is so expensive they can't do anything. And in a couple of schools, the parents are like, stop with all these half a days. How do I find place for my kid on a half a day? So what they did was they combined them to a full day off, but now the parent has to find a place for them for the whole entire day. But for those parents who are not making a lot of money and things like that, how does that work for them? You know what I mean? They're not going to be able to do anything with that, with the schedules being split like that. And then remember, they're only in school for 6 hours, 6.5 hours, almost
Okay.
7 hours. But you are at work for 8 and 10 hours a day.
So that's funny you should mention that. One thing that we did in California, and I don't see it being done in Texas, is we went to year-round school. You had the option either a traditional schedule or year-round, and I loved year-round.
Me too.
I enjoyed it because I wasn't away from my friends for too long. You got 3 weeks off between breaks, and for all the holiday breaks. So to me, I think to make it friendlier for those parents that have to work, either it's dual income, single parents, um, it's a lot more flexibility. And again, yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that, yeah.
I like that. I think I like that too, as well. Mike says he thinks of much of the reasons for starting in August has to do with the holidays and service days and snow days. The reason why they start, so I'm in Texas. So in Texas, Sia is here with me too. So
We're
all
all
of
in
us are
Texas.
here in Texas. Good Lord. Okay. Anyway, so here's the thing. They ended in May and they normally start in late August, right? But I do think it has a lot to do with them trying to fix the fact that they're a year and a half behind. So based off of just the information that was provided, that them being that far behind in the education, they have no choice but to bring them back. But my problem is, my concern that I have is that I don't see a way to help them consume the amount of information that's missing. And we're giving them, there's things that we're just kind of missing in some of it. And I feel like if we can just do better. So for me, I'm going to answer my own question. 3 things that I would like to see different. Okay. I really feel as though we really need to make a change and do different. One is we need to start listening more. When I tell you stood in a school and watched a teacher scream at a student as if she stole something, as he stole something. It was so bad. It was paralyzing, right? Start listening, because at the end of the day, these kids have something to say. It may not be what you want to hear, but it is something that they need to be able to say. My niece said, "This is not my bus." And they were like, "Get on this bus anyway." And 10 years later, we're still dealing with the effects of them shutting her down. Okay.
Wow.
That is not cool. Number 2, I believe that there are too many products out here right now. Impact, why his name just run out? James. And then I have another guy who's coming on. We're just saying that we want to be able to get this bullying under control. School shootings do not continue to happen just because you got bullying under control. It's happening because, the stats tell you, they're going to tell you, it's not 100% on the bullying. At the end of the day, bullying is contributing. It doesn't matter if it's not 100% because they've been bullied. It's a contributing factor to why students feel like the only options they have is to take out a whole entire group of people. And then 3, I do believe that we need to stop pushing the families out of the educational process and invite them in. That has to stop. There is no reason today, tomorrow, or ever that a parent should not be allowed to participate, be able to communicate, or be involved in the student's education. If I tell you that my child is counting money and is excited about math and doing all these great things, you sitting across the table from me telling me, no, he can't do that because we're not teaching him that and we don't want him to. No, what are we doing? You're making my child a statistic. And then 2, here's another one. I'm gonna there's a bonus one.
Hey, math 4. I
know.
I'm on top of that.
Bonus. This is my bonus. Because what I learned is that when you have more Black teachers in the room, you have a more diverse group of teachers. It increases the high school graduation. It increases the college transition to college for Blacks. It increases so much more, and it gives people a true visual representation of what life looks like. Now, anybody else want to come?
Yeah, no, and I sorry, Rocky. I like see this is what happens. I done invited myself. So see, look at my title. She who invites herself to Tabitha show. Okay. I'm gonna live up to that name. I think we don't talk enough about mental health for the children attending this whole post-pandemic situation. I am greatly concerned as an outsider looking in. There are some kids who are not dealing with, they don't understand the repercussion. They just know they got locked down for whatever reason. And the teachers, I don't know, man. I think the multiverse is like cross streamed somewhere because it is very weird to me to see so many miserable teachers, and it should never be that way. Yes, it's not easy to be a teacher. We know this. It's not easy to see politics coming into our education classes that's trying to play a role in whatever. Having that compassion, giving compassion to the parents, the teachers, and the children for adjusting. Man, we're going to have a party now that Tabitha's gone. Woo, woo. Okay. So here's my take on that. And I'm going to just give a shout out to Walking Tall movement, right? There is a space for communities to come together to recognize that there is shortcomings in life. There are challenges in life, but you can always walk tall together as a community and keeping your kids safe. I mean, Tabitha's not here, so we can really have some fun, guys.
Oh
Woohoo!
my gosh. Yes.
We're gonna have a party. Tabitha got
Take
kicked out of her own
over.
live stream. Yeah, no, so
Yeah.
Walking Tall movement, you guys check it out. I think it needs to be started at a younger age, as all things, when it's impressionable, when you have the opportunity to really recognize that your feelings matter, to reference Snoop Dogg, right? That it's okay, that our older generations that were taught to suck it up, buttercup, and get over it may not be the right path for this generation, right? Like I'm a Gen Xer. I grew up with like, being kicked out of the house. And yes, you guys think I was joking? I was literally forgotten. I came home for dinner and my parents were like, "Where were you?" Like they didn't know I was left the house. It was funny.
Oh
Anyway,
my gosh.
um, but yeah, no, I think movements like Walking Tall. Another shout out to Be Daring Foundation. They're more focused on the college age group, but getting kids to understand it's okay. If you're not happy, own it, right? If you're mad at someone, own it. But how do you react to it? How do you respond to it? And I think
Yes.
integrating parents with the education system to understand, hey, teachers are there to guide, to coach, if you will, cheerlead. They are
Mhm.
not there to parent your kids. And that
Mhm.
hurts me
No.
when I hear parents complaining about the teachers sucking for whatever reason. I'm like, yeah, it's because your son's an a-hole, right? Or
Yeah,
daughter's an
no,
a-hole.
and I was gonna say that was gonna be my next comment, yeah, because sometimes the parents and I can speak on that because I've seen it happen, that they expect the teacher to parent the child, and I'm like, that's not how it really works. The teachers are there to teach our children, not parent them. That's why
Yep.
they're called teachers. So I'm glad that you brought that up because, like I said, I've seen some scenarios where some parents just walk in like totally entitled and they're like, yeah, well, that's your fault because you're not doing it. And I'm like, no, that reflects back to what you're teaching back at home, boo. Like, don't try to blame the poor teacher. They're already overwhelmed, tired, and underpaid. But that's another
Underpaid.
discussion.
I mean, that's a different episode that I can jump in. I have opinions on something I have absolutely zero skin on the game
Wait,
for.
wait, wait. Let me take that back. So I apologize. So I don't know what happened, but that storm, that one that's down in Corpus, I guess we're
Oh,
catching some of the rain. So it just
oh
took a
shoot. Is that why my sister texted me say, "Hey, if I need to get evacuated, will you take me?" I thought she was just talking about California. She's down in
no.
Aransas. Is she in
We
flooded, my sister? I'm such a jerk. Wow. Sorry,
we're
guys.
here. We're here, but the Corpus caught the storm and we caught some of the rain and it just took out our power. So all right. So
Oh my
so
gosh.
I'm glad that you said that. At the end of the day, I feel the same way. So when we were doing this a couple weeks ago, a gentleman named Harvey said they're part of the solutions. We have to be able to provide solutions for this, but parents need to learn how to communicate to
Yes.
the educators, to the teachers, and things like that. But to that point, I also believe that those teachers need to learn how to communicate elsewhere too.
Yes.
Sometimes the teachers become teachers because they like the engagement and they want to be an impact on student, but they can communicate better with children than they can with adults. And if that's the case, and if that's what's really happening, then okay, so that becomes problematic because now you don't know how to communicate with the child's parent. And we
Yeah.
have to solve that, because first of all, I'm not entitled. And like for me, I walk in, my son, he wasn't a mess, but he wasn't a mess. He was just him. And we went through the IEP and all those things. He's on the spectrum. So that's not that's just our life, right? And that was fine. But I would go in and they would say, well, I don't know how to tell you. And I was like, stop doing that. My kid is not an angel. I understand that out of my space, out of my eyesight, he is bound to do all kinds of things I did not agree to. So just tell me what it is so that we can resolve the problem. And that's all this is about. Because I go in and I said, if you are the bully, I will be your bully. There ain't no way in the world. Every time you tag a kid, I will tag you, because I want to make sure the bullying is not an option. Every time you do something that's not okay for someone else, or every time you harm somebody else, I'm gonna get with you. And so that's how we're able to get some of that. But it starts at home. So
100.
I think that we need to start paying closer attention to what's happening out of home, because the pandemic actually
Yes.
showed where a lot of kids weren't being fed because they did not have the money, and the
That was
schools
that.
was what was picking them up.
You know what I find very interesting about a lot of these topics, right? Is we teach kids. Mike Ashabrainer does talk about how remember your kindergarten skills, right? So that that comment right there, just it it's very telling to me that we lack the ability to have a discussion, constructive discussion, without name calling, without having just this black and white, polarized, sensationalistic conversation. You can have a thoughtful conversation on things that you can fundamentally disagree with. Okay. But the problem is, I think it starts with the parents. And I'm calling out all the adults that I'm looking at right now. If you cannot hold a decent conversation with someone that you fundamentally disagree with, that's more of a reflection of your EQ. That is your reflection of you understanding you may never agree on anything in life, but can you conduct yourself in a way that's respectful, that you both agree that your opinions will never converge, but you can still respect one another? And I say that with earnestness and niceness and genuineness, and not a condemnation of who you are or whatever. But if you can't do that with other adults, what makes you think your children are going to be able to have great, healthy relationships as they grow up? And by the way, this also goes to teachers. If you cannot talk to another adult, that's another problem, right? Because that's communication, period. That's communication 101. So, yeah, man, life is tough. We're going to have massive difficulties and disagreements and fundamental flaws about politics, things related to how you want your children to be spoken to, brought up, etc. But if you can have that conversation with a child to say, hey, look, our family believes in this. You're going to have conversations with people that may or may not disagree. If you want them to think exactly like you, that's your prerogative. But understand that you're raising a child that may or may not be open to other things. So if they maybe are resistant to your opinion, it's because we as adults have taught the children that if they don't listen to what we say and they're suddenly disobedient because they're thinking constructively on their own, you're teaching them not to have constructive critical thinking skills. So it's not a topical thing. It's just I think it's a maturity of us as humans to have human conversations, connect at a human level, and understand that, what, I may fundamentally disagree with you on one topic, but I might be 100% on board with you on another. And that doesn't negate the value of anybody. So, education, when it comes to parents, teachers, relationships, as an outsider, that's what I see. And it hurts me to see kids getting locked up in the middle of it. Rant over. Thank you. Tabitha, girl,
agree.
I can go. I can go on all day.
It's all good. Raquel, what do you have to say? Come on, put your 2 cents in. And for those people
No,
who
I
I don't see your
mean,
comments here,
mhm.
go ahead.
Okay. Okay, yeah, sorry, I don't know. I have a delay on this end, but no, I fully believe in where C is coming from, because I agree with that as well. If we cannot hold a conversation to the most courteous of just fundamental courtesy, as I call it, yeah, there's no way we're going to get issues resolved, or whatever it is that it's laid in front of us. I've seen it. I've experienced it coming from both ways, from other parents, from, you know, the educational system. Like I've seen it and I've experienced it. And it's saddening to say the least. Sometimes, for example, I go in and try to speak to a teacher or whatever the issue may be happening, and I feel like I'm completely not heard as a parent. I'm denigrated. You know, sometimes they're like, "Oh, she's not going to understand." They assume I don't speak English sometimes, but it's okay. Or they speak to me in terms like a child, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm a highly educated woman, and I can understand. We can have this very serious conversation in another level if you like, but it's that automatic. They judge you, right? So, and they made me like feel when my daughter was not acting right at school because of what she was going through. She was being bullied. They made me feel like it was my fault. You know, I had one counselor sit there and tell me, "Oh, but yeah, well, maybe she's seen it at home," and I'm like, first of all, it's just me at home. You know, they don't have a father figure and all of that. She was talking about the hitting part, right? And putting hands on. And I'm just like, huh, that's interesting. How dare you? Like to me, that was
Yeah.
a big sign. So go ahead.
No, I'm with you. How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare
Yeah.
you say
That
something like that?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that I took a lot of offense to that just because, like I said, yeah, my child is not seeing this at home. So for you to say something like that, it's just out of line. Stay in your lane. So needless to say, I definitely took that to the next level, which was speaking to the principal about that and just making sure that that was clear. But yeah, it's just there's so many factors, really, honestly, that can murk up the waters. And when at the end of the day, what you want is just the benefit of the child to make sure that child is able to focus on what they need to focus, which is learning in school and learning what they're supposed to be learning in order to be passing these tests. The stress that comes with that
Oh,
as well. That's another
that's
show.
another topic.
No, we are
Another
talking about
topic.
that because yes, we're talking about that because I think that there are techniques and strategies that can be used to help those children to overcome test anxiety or just working through that. And and you know what? If you spent a little bit of time at each, I believe this. I talked to Catherine about this. If they spent just a little bit of time, 5 minutes at the top of every hour, at the top of every class, learning how to be mindful and breath work and helping to their coping mechanisms, it would help with those tests. You know, it would help and they would and stop teaching only to the test. The
Oh yeah.
last time I looked, I couldn't, no, I don't get tested. Okay, so that's not necessarily true. I do get tested when I go into certain positions. Like when I go, they were like, "Here, can you take this test?" I'm like, "Not really," but you know, we do get tested. But so that's a pass or fail. Life is not pass or fail. Why are we doing this? There is a better way, I feel like, to be able to get a lot of these kids out of that mindset where it's up or down. I mean, because I'm one of those kids, pass or fail. There is no gray area, right? And so I want to be able to do that. So Sia, you jump right in. She who invites herself, and I appreciate it. Oh wait, here. Oh, we got a comment. Let's see, we got this one. You're gonna tell us who you are and what you do. Go ahead, Sia. Uh-oh. What did he say?
I'm
We must
reading it
understand.
because we must understand that the system is built in such a way. If you look into how they approve the curriculum or teachers and professors, they decide what is proper in school and how to raise kids under what pretext, who stated they have the right answers when I see an improper society. So here's the thing. Society is a reflection of our communities at large, right? So I get it. There are problems in this world that we cannot solve by ourselves. But if we solve problems local to us of what we can directly impact and have a direct connection to, that changes the world for that space in that moment in time for the individuals involved, right? Locally. I get it, man. The world sucks at large, right? I mean, if we were to have aliens looking down at us, they'd be like, why are these like parasites fighting each other? What the F, dude? What's going on here? We're gonna just zoom on by and find another planet that's a little bit more like friendlier with each other. And there's this thing that I was actually reading about, and I'm gonna go on a tangent here. There's this thing that astronauts they suffer like a mild depression coming back down. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Even William Shatner experienced this. That when these astronauts, and no, flat earthers, it's not flat, is that when the astronauts look at us, the little blue dot, our little blue marble that we are,
Yeah.
they see we're just freaking little dust particles in the grand scheme of things. And so they see that our big problems, what we're all kvetching about right now, is meaningless in the grand scheme of life. However, when you come back to Earth, they get depressed a little bit because they're like, wow, I'm coming back into a space where it's so beautiful that if we all could just live together peacefully, find commonality, try not to forget, de-emphasize the differences and hype up the commonality, this world really would be a better place. And isn't that what we teach the kids anyway to look at? How come adults can't do that? Right? I get it. We
Yeah.
work 12 hours a day. We maybe have belief systems that are different from people, our next door neighbors. But does that fundamentally mean your next door neighbors aren't human just like you? And so again, this is kind of like when I think of these types of conversations, and when I think we get embroiled into the minutia of human relationships, I can't help but think of, dude, pull up, like a Top Gun reference. Pull up.
Yeah. Pull up.
Anyway,
I
no one
get
got
you.
that. Anyway, but
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like, so it is a tangent I went on, but again, so Jimmy, I hear what you're saying. We don't have the control of our society. Yeah, it's dictated by, we have to have metrics in place to at least common foundationally kind of set foundations. But I think your culture, your upbringing, your how you envision life is really all set from home and your experiences. And maybe if your home life isn't great, as we all know is true, reach out. If you see a kid living a crappy life, perhaps maybe welcome them into your home. Not living, obviously, but I mean, like, let them
but that's
experience.
the
I can't
village,
tell you how many
right?
times I got to experience so many different families' lives, and they embraced me. My Muslim
Yep.
friends, my Christian friends, my Jewish friends. It was awesome. My spaghetti noodle friends, like, I was all about it because I got to see and
Oh,
taste and feel every difference of their culture. It was awesome, and I'm appreciative for it. And tests don't have to be scary. There's this other thing. I'm going off on another tangent. Meditation. I think there's this one thing that was on TV of this high risk urban school, and they took these high risk kids and they taught them meditation. Their scores improved. Their relationships with the teachers all improved. So maybe teach little techniques, not religious based,
that's what I'm
just
saying.
breathing exercises. Just
Yes,
breathing
that is what
exercises.
I'm saying.
Um,
That is
and
amazing.
I'm not religious, peeps. So for me, if you're going to be in your meditation zone and maybe and think about your own scripture that you believe in, works the same. Just find that happy
Yep.
space that will help diminish anxiety and actually help put things into perspective. And I think that's why kids stress out. They think school tests are end all be all. If you encourage them to
Yes.
say, no, this is just a way for you as you grow and mature, that these are some knowledge based foundational stuff you should learn as you grow older. It's such a different perspective. So maybe that helps
Yes.
lessen the anxiety. I've had like 2 cups of coffee and I am flying, guys. But thank you.
You are hilarious, but
I
I
can
appreciate you.
tell
Jimmy, I think I'm
you.
helping you.
I appreciate you, and that's why it's like I'm 100% with you, because a lot of what we talked about today, which was, I mean, it took a totally different turn. Thank you, because it was necessary, because it was what one of the, what she say, Cindy. I'm just going to call you Cindy. So she was like, rip off the Band-Aid. Exactly, because, and this was this show that just kind of rips off the Band-Aid. I'm calling out those people, those parents, those people in our community. Let's do something different. We are responsible collectively. And Sia, before I got cut off, I was saying, they said you don't have any skin in the game. The last time I looked, when we pay taxes, we pay school taxes. So let
Yes.
me break it down to you like this. You
Oh, yeah.
have skin in the game. You are entitled to your opinions, observations, and concerns. And the reason why I say this is because what they are putting into school, what they are pulling out of school, what these students are walking away with, these people, these young people become our employers, our employees, and the people we pay money to, whether it's a dentist, doctor, or podiatrist, whether it's McDonald's, Burger King, or what is the other one? Jack in the Box. I don't know. At the end of the day, what is happening in school impacts all of us. And I'm sick and tired of people telling me I don't have skin in the game because my kids are older. Just because they aged out of school does not mean I aged out of your tax bracket. So get over it. I'm done with that. Boom. I'm over it. So, ladies, this is
it.
We can keep going, girl. Okay, I have to say one more last thing. I bought into a suburban community that is all about child rearing. Like these people are rabbits out here in Frisco, Texas. I don't mind saying it. Fastest growing city in the country for a multitude of reasons, but people like to procreate here. And let me tell you, my tax dollars are so fracking high for the school system. And yeah, you're right. I don't have children, but I'm paying for your kids to go to school. And they're the next generation of people that I got to deal with. So if you're raising a bunch of a-holes, I just want you to know you're welcome because I help fund them. Yeah, you're welcome. I get it. And by the way, Jimmy Farhat, I just want to give credit to. He rolled with me on my alien reference. So thank you. And I used to be in telco too, sir. So I'm right there with you. So yeah, I just want to give shout out. Anyone that rolls with me with my space references, if you want to take off your hat, tinfoil, we can do it together.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
creating weapons.
We're just going to keep going. We are going to kill ourselves.
Right, this is true. And I'll end with this conflict management.
I know we're wrapping up.
It's not taught in schools nor at home. People who care, the change makers or our local communities, can address these gaps. Oh, me? All right, look, I'm willing to go in there because I'm not afraid. I'm not scared of y'all. At the end of the day, we can control how our children are educated. We have to know how to do that and rally with the right community, and that works. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Ladies, go ahead and share who you are and how people can get in contact with you. Raquel?
Oh my goodness. Okay, sure thing. All right, well, I'm Raquel Flores, and you can find me living on LinkedIn. We have a fantastic, like I said, live stream every Saturday that Brilliant Bee Media and Miss Cia over here put together. And so yeah, the idea is to really connect with other collaborators and creators who are making a difference and an impact, a positive impact, I should add, in this world. So you know where to find me. Just look for Raquel Flores, and you'll find me. Okay. Thank you, Tabitha.
All right now. All right, Cia.
All right.
Who are you? How can people find you?
Tabitha, thank you for having me. Crash your party.
Thank you. Oh, I got one.
Honestly, I don't know if people want to find me now, man, girl. I'm on a roll. No, I'm Cia. I'm Cia with Brilliant Bee Media, and we are a boutique digital content creation, marketing, social media agency. We do a lot of consulting, digital content production, and of course, social media engagement. Raquel is actually part of that team. And we're all about all ships rising with the tide. We want you to share your light and positivity, and that is one of the core crux of our mission and goals. So chat with us. We love to support you in all your endeavors, everyone.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
And my name is Tabitha Barron. I am the founder of Keeping Your Kids
And I
Safe.
feel like you guys are in Stormland. Is there a big delay?
Yes, I think there is a delay. So hopefully it'll catch up. So
I think you guys are in storms, huh?
Yeah, I think so. So can you hear us? All right, well, whatever. So here's the thing. We're dedicated to keeping your school out of the headlines by helping each child effectively communicate their way home. So to end it all, at the end of the day, it's up to us to make the decision for our children. The community is here to help, and you're just part of the equation. Your children are only with you for a short period of time, so please make sure to do the right things and help build them up so that they can be very successful for you later, and you can smile with joy. All right, thank you very much, and everyone have a great and beautiful day. Oh, thank you to all the teachers and administrators. That's what I keep trying to say. Thank you. We do appreciate the great ones. Some of you bad ones need to be on a PIP. Have a great one. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate the support and look forward to you visiting us again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, words are power. Please remember to use them wisely. If you have an interest, like to be on our live show, please let us know and send us a direct message.